Hola, buenas noches, gente que me sigue a través de Facebook. Esta noche en la ciudad de La Puente se va a dar una conferencia y posteriormente se va a hacer una resolución porque quieren convertir la ciudad de La Puente en una ciudad santuario. ¿Esto qué significa? Esto significa que inmigrantes, lésbicos, gays, transexuales y musulmanes van a poder vivir en esta ciudad sin que se les moleste por parte de inmigración. Esto se debe a que el presidente electo Donald Trump en pocos días tomará posesión de su puesto y no sabemos qué es lo que le espera a los latinos y a las minorías. Vamos a escuchar un poco. En estos momentos la gente se está preparando para lo que va a ser su participación junto frente al cabildo. Esto quiere decir que la gente se está preparando para lo que van a decir frente a la presidenta de esta localidad y junto a toda la gente del cuerpo de gobierno. Se han dado cita aquí, se han dado cita personas de distintas organizaciones, así como prensa. Ha llegado la televisión, podemos ver de aquel lado. De aquel lado están los carros que hacen las transmisiones y bueno, ya tenemos algunos minutos de retraso de lo que iba a ser, 21 minutos de retraso de lo que iba a ser. Bueno, vamos a escuchar.
Estamos aquí porque todos sabemos ahorita que el nuevo presidente ha lanzado varias amenazas, no solamente insultos, pero una amenaza muy fuerte, que es de detener a más de 3 millones de indocumentados. Nosotros sabemos que eso va a pasar. ¿Por qué? Porque la última administración acaba de mandar más de 2.500 inmigrantes. De esos inmigrantes aplicaron 750 mil estudiantes de DACA. Nosotros sabemos que ellos son los primeros que van a estar en peligro. ¿Por qué? Porque el presidente está diciendo ahorita que ya tiene todos sus récords, automáticamente son los primeros que van a salir. La otra, sabemos que dicen que son personas criminales. Nosotros sabemos que de los 2.000 millones y medio no nada más eran personas criminales, eran personas que simplemente tuvieron un problema de tener una propuesta de salir. Por lo tanto, nosotros aquí estamos unidos, somos varias organizaciones. Está el señor Manuel Maldonado, que es de la organización de la institución No Te Dejes. Están profesores como Hilda Ochoa y el profesor Enrique Ochoa, que son profesores de la Universidad de Pomona, y ahorita se van a presentar. Están miembros de las iglesias, están miembros de organizaciones como Ricardo Rodríguez y Javier Rodríguez, que son reporteros. Y estamos, pues, la mera, la gente que está aquí con nosotros, que son los más importantes. Hicimos una coalición de todas las organizaciones que incluyen iglesias, incluyen estudiantes, incluyen un sinnúmero de personas que se han unido a nosotros para pelear esto. Nosotros hicimos una resolución, una propuesta que Manuel va a mencionar ahorita cuando sometimos esta propuesta. Nosotros sabemos que aquí hay millones de impuestos que han estado pagando por impuestos, por taxes, por un sinnúmero de situaciones. La economía, estamos hablando de billones de dólares que nuestra comunidad invierte. Aquí en La Puente somos más de 500,000 residentes y de esos 500,000, casi 13,000 son personas indocumentadas o son familiares de nosotros que son personas indocumentadas. Por lo tanto, ahorita estamos exigiendo, bueno, les estamos pidiendo, vamos a decirlo de esa forma para que ellos entiendan, al concilio de la ciudad que queremos estar seguros que pasen nuestra resolución. Se están presentando 2 resoluciones hoy y la segunda es la de la comunidad. La comunidad es la resolución más completa, se llenó de todas las coaliciones, de todas las personas y los grupos que hicieron ciudades santuarios. Por ejemplo, de Pomona, de Santana, de Calif, de San Francisco, de Chicago, de varias instituciones que han hecho ciudades santuarios. Nosotros queremos dar el ejemplo al liderazgo de la comunidad que aquí estamos haciendo un puente. No estamos haciendo una barrera como el presidente Donald Trump. Estamos haciendo un puente porque somos la puente. Entonces, por lo tanto, queremos estar seguros que nuestra comunidad esté segura. La propuesta que estamos sometiendo como Ciudad Santuario va a proteger a nuestra comunidad de que, por ejemplo, la policía, en este caso los sheriffs, no se les permita arrestar y reportarlos al Departamento de Migración. Entonces, por lo tanto, nosotros estamos exigiendo hoy que se pase la resolución y esperamos el voto de los concejales hoy. Ahorita tenemos ahora a Manuel Maldonado que va a decir unas palabras.
Buenas noches. Pensando en las necesidades de la comunidad, de nuestra comunidad, como dijo Marta, la puente, que queremos construir puentes, no ser divisivos. Hemos nosotros presentado el 13 de diciembre una resolución más comprensiva que cualquier otra ciudad ha presentado. Nosotros hemos incluido varias comunidades, varias entidades, no solamente a los inmigrantes indocumentados, sino también hemos incluido a los estudiantes DACA, a la comunidad LGBT, a la comunidad musulmana, a las mujeres, a las personas con discapacidades o necesidades excepcionales, al igual que a muchos otros grupos que el presidente electo Trump ha estado atacando. Y queremos nosotros que la puente sea una de las ciudades modelos que presenten a otras ciudades que sean inclusivas, no nada más a los indocumentados. Marta tal vez hizo un poquito de un error, dijo que habíamos como 500,000 personas en la puente. Realmente somos como alrededor de 55 a 60,000 personas que radicamos en la puente, de la cual una cuarta parte de nuestra comunidad es indocumentada. Son los que generan unas grandes divisas, son las que mantienen esta ciudad, porque son los que compran, los que consumen, los que pagan impuestos sin recibir nada a cambio. Y ellos merecen tener el respeto y la dignidad que todas las demás comunidades tienen. Con esto los dejo. Gracias. Manuel Maldonado, soy representante de la institución, del Instituto No Te Dejes para la Educación.
Okay. Ahora tenemos a una de las profesoras, Gilda Ochoa.
Hello, I'm Gilda Ochoa. I teach Chicano Latino Studies and Sociology at Pomona College. I'm also a longtime resident. I've lived in La Puente for 30 years. The community cannot wait. No one should live in fear, terror, or face harassment or discrimination. What we've seen this past year with the current presidential-elect Donald Trump is atrocious. He's instilled terror in too many members of our community. And so what we're saying tonight is basta, enough. We need a vote, a positive vote for our resolution today. It cannot wait until after the inauguration. The City Council meets today and they meet on the 24th. So we're hoping that our council understands the urgency of the issue. We're wearing the inauguration. The City Council meets today and they meet on the 24th. So we're hoping that our council understands the urgency of the issue. We're wearing red in solidarity to convey that sense of urgency. Secondly, our resolution is inclusive, as you heard from my colleagues. It has to include all of the community. The presidential-elect and the appointees he's made has gone after too many people, Mexicanos, Latinos, immigrants, undocumented, but also the LGBTQ community, Muslims, women, and people that are disabled. A resolution that only includes one segment of our community is still an attack on all of us. We are all affected, and so we are calling for solidarity, unity together to say no, that we are a community about puentes, we are La Puente, and we want an inclusive resolution passed today.
Ahora tenemos al compañero Javier Rodríguez, o Enrique, perdón, Enrique Ochoa, el profesor Enrique Ochoa.
Siempre sigo de mi hermana. Soy Enrique Ochoa, profesor de Historia y Estudios Latinoamericanos en Cal State University Los Ángeles. Estoy aquí en apoyo apoyo a este grupo para esa resolución que es muy amplio, que es parte de nuestra lucha aquí en la ciudad, pero también lo que tenemos que hacer en todo el país. And for that reason, really, we're here and seeing the great number of people in the community that are here. La Puente, this is a historic moment for La Puente. La Puente, as we already said, is a paredes, no es de paredes, it's de puentes. But also, right, it's a community that's always been an immigrant community. Since the time our grandparents first came here, from Sicily on one hand and from Nicaragua on the other in the 1950s, but we always knew this is a working class immigrant community, and it's time that the city council stand for that community, recognizes who the community is, and embraces that community, and they need to stand with us all. We're here today, Tuesday, in the city, pero el jueves vamos a estar en el distrito escolar demandando lo mismo, asking for the same, right, sanctuary, safe zone city, and the district needs to also recognize who their community is, and we're asking for that now. Thank you.
Y por último tenemos al reportero Javier Rodríguez, que nos ha apoyado incondicionalmente.
Hola, miren, soy activista, más que todo. Y pues yo creo que es súper importante entender que La Puente, que casi como el resto del el Valle de San Gabriel, ha sido una comunidad conservadora, ¿sí? Entonces los tiempos, ¿no?, y los mares y el oleaje están arrastrando a la puente a la conclusión de que se tiene que organizar y defender a su gente. Entonces La Puente se une a otras ciudades, ya se mencionaron, a juntas escolares, al sistema universitario del estado de California, y se une a la legislatura encabezada por Kevin León, por Rendón, a Ricardo Lara y también el gobernador, para crear un gran santuario, una pared de defensa en contra de los ataques bestiales que vienen de parte de la administración de Trump, una administración de ultraderecha, de millonarios y militares. Por eso estamos aquí.
Ahora tenemos a Santiago Sánchez. Él es Agustín Sánchez es un representante del Instituto de los Mexicanos en el Exterior, también yo lo soy. Y él viene en apoyo porque ustedes tuvieron, hace poco vinieron 3-4 senadores de México que quieren ayudarnos a hacer ciudades santuario. Y por favor denle la bienvenida a Agustín.
Bueno, mi nombre es Agustín Sánchez, radico en el estado de Alaska. Yo estoy aquí por invitación de ella, de Marta, y de verdad los felicito por este logro que están tratando de hacer. Para mí es una experiencia porque esto que estoy aprendiendo aquí lo voy a impulsar en el estado de Alaska. En el estado de Alaska hay muchas culturas y de todo esto se organizó una organización, se hizo una organización que se nombró Bridge Buildings, uniendo culturas. Entonces esto es parte de lo mismo que estamos tratando de hacer, hermanas ciudades de La Puente, con la idea de hacerlas santuarios. Esto me parece maravilloso porque es lo que necesitamos para proteger a nuestros conciudadanos. Les agradezco la invitación y ojalá que lo logren y podamos seguir avanzando. Acuérdense que la unión hace la fuerza, y por eso estamos aquí nosotros trayendo a los senadores para que también el gobierno de México apoye a nuestros conciudadanos aquí en los Estados Unidos. Gracias.
Antes de que nos vayamos, tenemos uno de los concejales aquí con nosotros, que si por favor le pedimos que pase para que lo entrevisten acá.
Como una observación, el concejal David Argudo fue uno de los que propusieron la otra resolución. Councilmember David Argudo was one of the ones that proposed the resolution number 1 out of the 2 that are going to be presented this evening. Él propuso la resolución número 1, pero la nuestra es un poquito más inclusiva.
Hola, buenas noches para todos. Es un placer estar aquí, mirar a la gente que ha venido a apoyar esta resolución. Nuestro país es rico en mucha cultura aquí y todos somos inmigrantes de este país, de los Estados Unidos. En vista del clima político, hemos movido, avancé con hacer una resolución santuaria para la ciudad de La Puente. La proponí y después la comunidad ha venido, ha formado otra resolución que es más comprensiva para todos los diferentes sectores de nuestras comunidades. Con eso les agradezco por el apoyo. Yo creo que hemos trabajado muy juntos con la comunidad, con el señor Maldonado, con la señora Sámano, Gilda Ochoa,
Jeffrey de la Torre.
no,
La señora García,
la señora
miembro de la
García,
Junta de Educación.
miembro de la Junta de Educación, y gracias por ayudarme y es un honor y un placer de ayudar a mi gente y a la comunidad. Con eso les dejo. Vamos a ver qué pasa el día de hoy y a ver si tenemos la oportunidad de pasar la resolución que es más comprensiva, pero tenemos que primero platicar con mis colegas para ver si podemos avanzar esto el día de hoy. Con su permiso, hasta luego.
Sí, es muy importante que la prensa le pregunte a la presidenta de aquí, del Consejo Municipal,
A la alcaldesa.
el por qué, ¿sí? Alcaldesa, el por qué no quiere apoyar la resolución hoy, antes del 20, cuando cuenta, cuando va a haber marchas, cuando va a haber todo tipo de actividades. 1 millón de mujeres se van a reunir en Washington, aquí en Los Ángeles va a haber como 10 o 12 marchas también. Quisiéramos que hubiera sola una, ¿no? Para hacer mucho más impacto, pero en todo caso, más o menos de esto se trata, y esa es la única controversia que hay aquí
y
en la ciudad.
nada más tenemos un último orador, es Jeffrey de la Torre. Si por favor pasa para enfrente, por favor, él va a compartir algunas de las preguntas y entonces ya damos algunos otros datos.
Hola, buenas noches a todos y bueno, quiero darle gracias también a la media, a la prensa que ha llegado aquí. Quiero que por favor entiendan que tenemos que estar unidos en este aspecto. Yo soy un padre aquí en el distrito escolar aquí de aquí de La Puente, Hacienda Heights, y es muy importante que protejamos a todos los estudiantes, a los musulmanes, a los latinos, los que no tienen papeles tal vez. Entonces es muy importante que por favor nos unamos y trabajemos para el mismo, que viene siendo ser americano, ser exactamente lo que es mejor para este país, y protegernos también de ataques, no nomás a nosotros, sino también a la prensa, que no tengan miedo, que la prensa sea nuestra voz y por favor nos ayude. Entonces es muy importante que por favor para adelante y no quedemos atrás. Gracias.
Muchas gracias a todos. Queremos que sepan que esta campaña empieza aquí. Vamos a seguir adelante con todas las demás ciudades a nivel local, a nivel de distrito, ya que la supervisora Hilda Solís está presentando una propuesta muy similar hoy. Lo vamos a seguir a nivel estatal y a nivel nacional, que ya Chicago, Nueva York y otros estados lo están organizando. Muchas gracias por su participación y estaremos aquí después de la reunión. Esperamos que victoriosos para estar seguros de que haya pasado la propuesta de ley. Gracias por estar. Exactamente como acabamos de hacer, queremos que yo voy a hacer, al final de los oradores, voy a hacer la última oradora y yo voy a pedir a ustedes que aplaudan. Y exactamente lo que acabamos de ensayar muy normalmente salga igual y más fuerte, porque con todas las ganas que tenemos va a salir final.
Todos los ánimos.
Otra vez, los que quieran hablar, por favor, tanto le piden una Gilda, una Manuel, llenan su nombre, su dirección y dicen abajo, quiero hablar para apoyar la propuesta de la resolución que está hoy. Si quieren peticiones, Enrique va a pasar peticiones en español. A los que quieran una petición en español la puedan leer. ¿Por qué no se las
También creo que es prudente reconocer el esfuerzo de David Argudo, el concejal David Argudo, que fue uno de los que, sin saber, ya había hecho una presentación sobre una resolución. El concejal David Argudo entró a sesión de puerta cerrada ahorita, pero no dejemos de olvidarnos que él fue uno de los que empezó este movimiento y ya nosotros teníamos también planeado esto, pero el concejal David Argudo ya previamente había pensado en someter una resolución. Y gracias.
Bueno, entonces, por favor, pasen. Si tienen interés de hablar, tomen la forma y van agarrando sus asientos, por favor.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council. My name is Jeffrey de la Torre, and I'm a parent and an educator too. And two of my children attend our school district. And I want to urge you to please support the City of La Puente to be a sanctuary for our students, for our disabled students, immigrant children, LGBT, Muslim, female students. Please support them. As an educator, I've had students come up to me concerned. They're young little kids. I teach first grade. And at that young age, they've come up to me and said, I'm worried about the president-elect coming in. What's going to happen with my parents? Well, one of their parents, because they're here illegally. And I want to be their voice. That's why I'm here in front of you. Please urge you to reconsider these kids, even though they're not at age to vote. I will be their voice. I may be whispering to you right now, but I can roar too. And I'm also a voter. And I do want to urge you to please consider having our city of La Puente, be a sanctuary for these kids, for these parents that are hardworking parents, that they do earn taxes that provide us with law enforcement and emergency services. So I urge you to please think it thoroughly and pass this as soon as possible, so that these kids don't lose sleep thinking what's going to happen with their parents.
Today.
Thank you. Today.
Good evening, Manuel Maldonado, once again. As we pledged, on December 13th, we will be back. And we will be back as strong as we have been. And I think we're going to be stronger. We, just this past month, we had 15 people of our community become U.S. citizens and registered voters. And I'm hoping that 12 more coming December 17th, those who are residents of La Puente will be sworn as new citizens and registered voters. So watch out, Council. We have more voters in our city. Having said that, as you remember back on December 13th, we presented to you a resolution which was more inclusive than the resolution presented by Councilmember David Argudo. We are asking you to please tonight, before President-elect Donald Trump takes his oath to take possession of his office, we'd like to have this resolution be passed. I noticed that some of the speakers previous to me were speaking. I saw some of the people here in the audience smiling and kind of making funny gestures regarding the speakers. This is not something to be funny about. This is not something to be funny about. White people were also discriminated at one time. White people were also put down at one time here in this country. So it's nothing to be laughing about. It's nothing to be making fun about it. These are people, the same people that are paying taxes, for these people to have affordable housing, to have affordable streets, to have lights, to have emergency services. And it's nothing to be laughing about. That is what Donald Trump has created in this country. Bigotry, division, not unity. And that's why I have a problem when I say the Pledge of Allegiance, because at the end it says, with liberty and justice for all. And sometimes that is not true. Sometimes that is not true. We have to think about that. We have to think about that really, really hard. And remember, I know two of you are up for re-election back in November. We're going to be paying very close attention. And as you know, El Instituto No Te Dejes does make a difference when it comes to voting. does make a difference when it comes to voting. Thank you very much.
Good evening, I'm Yad Pineda, fourth year at UCLA and also beneficiary of DACA. I urge the Board of Education. I urge the Board of Education to declare La Puente a sanctuary city in order to protect its residents. Studies show that in cities in which a large concentrate of immigrants live, the economy thrives. Not only do we pay taxes, but contrary to popular belief, we do not steal American jobs, but rather perform those jobs that Americans refuse to perform for less than minimum wage. When was the last time a white man sold oranges at the side of the freeway in 50-degree weather? I stand before you and ask that you protect our brothers and sisters, be that undocumented immigrants, women, Muslim citizens, all of those that stand under President-elect's fire and his fascist agenda. Thank you.
Good evening, city council members. My name is Araceli Garcia, and I am a longtime resident of La Puente. I actually attended Baldwin Elementary, Grandview, and Workman High School. I'm actually a teacher at Workman High School, so very proud. I'm very proud of all the students who are here. I also work with the seniors, and this year, more than other years, I've seen an increase in anxiety and just fear, apathy of applying to college, and many of them are feeling, why should I go? I might not even qualify. I might feel threatened there at the campuses. So as a teacher, I'm feeling this anxiety for them. So I'm asking our council here to send a strong message of support to our students that they should not be giving up. I have students who are feeling that, what's the point? We need you to make this city a sanctuary city, to send that message. I myself, my parents were illegal immigrants. They taught us the value of hard work. Sadly, my father did pass away when I was very young, but I now have come back with a master's degree and have taught my students to keep fighting, keep going, not give up. I want my students to have that same opportunity to come back and be leaders here in this community and give back. So I hope you make the right decision and you approve this tonight. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rocio Mendoza, and I grew up here in La Puente. I lived here for over 18 years on Poston Avenue, so on the other side of La Puente, and always still call this my hometown. I'm now a fourth-year PhD student at Claremont Graduate University, so pursuing education and hoping to have others also gain higher education. And I'm really excited that the city is considering moving towards a sanctuary city. Just coming here, coming on the freeway, I walked over to the library really quick, doing homework constantly, always doing work, and it brought me back to when I was 11 years old and Prop 187 had been approved. And I remember the anti-immigrants, I remember the anti-immigrant sentiment, the fear that we had, and I remembered how much that library felt like a sanctuary. And just kind of thinking about those parallels of what that felt like in there, feeling safe, feeling like it was such a big space, and I walked in and thought, oh, it's not okay. But I remembered it's such a huge space with all these posters of Bill Cosby and Antonio Banderas. Why do I remember that? But constantly always feeling that safety net, that safety. And now I think about what's happening with so many of our family members feeling that fear, feeling that anxiety, and we're all constantly feeling it. And what an amazing experience, and what an opportunity for our city to be able to say and declare itself as a sanctuary city. What a model, and what message are we also sending? I'm so proud of the city to be able to be considering this, and I do hope it passes this resolution, and not just to move it for next week, but as others have also said, to move it for today. To really, I think there is such an urgency. We're days, we are weeks away of seeing so many transformations. We've already been seeing so many things happen over the past election cycle with so much anti-immigrant and anti-Semitism, so many anti-sentiments. So I think I just really am here to just show our support for the city, and I just really hope that you do the right thing. This is, I don't see any other way to move forward, and hopefully we can all just keep living in dignity without fear.
Good evening, Mayor Munoz, council members, city staff, and audience. My name is Billy Joe Wright. I am a teacher over here at William Workman High School. I also grew up in this area here. My mom is an LP graduate. My Theo grew up around here and worked in the district and retired from La Puente High School just 5 years ago. My mom grew up right around the corner from here on 5th and Main, and my Thea still lives there in the house where our family spends a lot of time. I'm coming tonight to speak to you about the resolution to make La Puente a sanctuary city. But first, I wanted to point out how proud and amazed I was when we said the Pledge of Allegiance. I've never heard it so proudly said than in this room tonight. It not only was it loud, but it was from the heart. And I hope that the way the pledge was said, that you hear our statements tonight. Because it's with pride in America. It's not with any fear, any anger, any hate that we come to you asking for this resolution to be passed. In the classroom, what we do is we make sure that kids know that we care. When kids know that you care, and when human beings know that you care, they feel safe, they feel valued, and they reach for their potential. As public servants, you should be creating policies and resolutions that set the tone and the vibe of the community. It should always begin and end with the people. That work and what you do tonight on passing Resolution B will show whether or not you care. You represent, especially our kids, and I can tell you from being a teacher in the classroom, the same seniors and freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and their siblings that Ms. Garcia teaches. It's one thing to hear in words or to read these statements. It's another thing, like this morning, to have an email sent to me from another teacher saying, hey, I know you're working on these issues, and this kid feels like they're lost. They got accepted to Humboldt, but their parents are not here legally, and they're in fear of an older sibling. And to have that kid come speak to me after school about this tall, and literally shaking as she's talking about it with her eyes filled with water. There's nothing like seeing the heart of someone and understanding that you have the ability, just through a resolution, to let them know that, hey, we got your back. I understand that there's budget concerns and everything, and I hope those same concerns spread across everything and all the money that comes in. I hope that people come all the time and talk about budget lines. I fear that when we get into these things about budget lines, when we're trying to protect people just to make them feel safe, that sometimes we lose what the point of this is. I hope that you make the right decision tonight, because I think you can tell from the energy tonight that we're not going to become disengaged, that it'll only grow louder and marches in the street, and make sure that if they can't hear it from our leaders, they're going to hear it from the streets. That whether you are undocumented or you are LGBTQ or Muslim, or anything else that people want to try and talk about or put you down for, La Puente welcomes you. Hacienda La Puente Unified School District welcomes you. We're working on that in the schools, and we hope as leaders that you do that here. Thank you for your time, and Happy New Year.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here again. My name is Alonso Campos. I'm probably he's younger than me, but I'm the youngest, probably one of the younger La Puente residents. I'm going into my 3rd year here. I'm currently a 5th year PhD student at Claremont Graduate University, and also currently teach at Cal State Channel Islands in Chicano Studies, and I see students worried and in fear. But I want to keep it more bigger with sharing a few words, and hopefully that you're in favor today for La Puente to be a sanctuary city. So folks have mentioned the Pledge of Allegiance, but let me kindly remind you what you're really also representing as public officials, and that's also the Constitution of the United States. So bear with me as I read the preamble to the Constitution. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty. In order for us to do that, you must be willing to represent us, be an example to LA County, the San Gabriel Valley, the state of California, and the rest of the United States. So please pass the resolution for La Puente to be a sanctuary city. Thank you.
Sharon Shellman.
Greetings, Councilman and audience. I bring you greetings from the Bishop of California Pacific United Methodist Church. This is his message in support of sanctuary. The leadership of the California Pacific Conference of the United Methodist Church strongly reasserts our unequivocal support for all of our churches, ministries, and institutions who commit to be places of sanctuary and hospitality for refugees seeking asylum, immigrants threatened by deportation and the breakup of their families, and all those who are victimized by increasing acts of hateful abuse, bullying, and violence in our Lord. The United Methodist Church believes that welcoming the sojourner among us is a biblical mandate. In Leviticus 19:33-34, the scriptures declare, when a foreigner resides among you, you'll treat them as your native born. Love them as yourself, for you were foreigners in Egypt. I am the Lord your God. The United Methodist Church social principles state, we recognize, embrace, and affirm all persons, regardless of country of origin, as members of the family of God. We affirm the right of all persons to be equal opportunities for employment, access to housing, health care, education, and freedom from social discrimination. We urge the church and society to recognize the gifts, contributions, and struggles of those who are immigrants and to advocate for justice for all. We oppose immigration policies that separate family members from each other and then include detention of families with children, and we call on local churches to be in ministry with immigrant families. We are actively working within the CalPAC conference to grow, train, and equip our network of sanctuary churches. No Estan Solos refugee welcoming centers, our CalPAC neighborhood immigration clinics, our immigrant welcoming congregations network, and our border ministries. We are also committed to strengthening our cooperative work with our interfaith and community partners, as well as we all join together in a broad-based sanctuary movement. As the California Pacific Annual Conference, we unequivocally support sanctuary for the least and the most vulnerable in our midst. And we back this support with concrete action. Bishop Grant Paideia, Los Angeles Episcopal District.
Good evening, everyone, guests and board members. Next May, I'm going to be a 31-year resident and neighbor of all of you, and I'm really proud of being a part of this community. Historically, immigrants have always become victims of who we are or where we come from. And now, in these days, it becomes more apparent that rather than waiting for that to get here because of the recently elected president. We need to become aware that the city of La Puente can become another city that is going to keep families together and give all of us a peace of mind. Immigrants become victims of the retaliation, and especially nowadays, become more evident that we're going to continue being becoming more victims. But the support that needs to be there from all of us, as neighbors, as city council, elected officials, teachers, and neighbor to neighbor. We just need to become more and more, not only have a city that has welcome all immigrants, but also become the place that we need to be a sanctuary city, not only for those who are here, but those who are in their way to become also members of this community. So please make La Puente a sanctuary city for all immigrants, regardless of who we are or where we came from. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Enrique Ochoa. I'm a professor of history and Latin American studies at Cal State University, Los Angeles. Any Cal State LA folks here? Woo! Always from Dallas. You are professor, I see you. It's great to be here. I have deep roots in this community, going back to the 1950s when my parents from Italy and from Sicily and from Nicaragua migrated to LA and then to here, and so I know La Puente to be a very strong working class community with deep values and deep roots. I went to school at Nelson Elementary. My mother taught for 40 years at Sparks Middle School until her retirement a few years ago. This is a historic day. This is a historic day, and I think we need to take that, right, the urgency of this vote, and you all voting today, right, to include an inclusive resolution to protect all our communities is in the spirit of working class, right, the working communities of Los Angeles County and of La Puente, that brings everyone together, right? So we're not dividing everyone up. Instead, we're inclusive. This is the city of Puentes, not Paredes, right? That's why it's and we urge you, right, as members of the community, people who know your community, right, who know your residents, who live among your residents, who interact, right, that you stand with the residents, right? This is historic. This is something that other communities are doing, but it needs to be done more, especially in the San Gabriel Valley. And as you know, you will be out there, but at the same time, you're not alone. You know what La Puente, right? La Puente raised Hilda Solis is doing as supervisor for the county. Right, we know already, right, what is being done at the legislature level, at the Senate level, with the Senate Pro Temp and the Speaker coming out strongly to create a sanctuary state, and the governor right behind it. So this is a movement. This is a large movement where, for the first time in California, we're recognizing who our community is, who all our communities are, to bring them together, to unite. This is extremely important, and to do it with Resolution B that includes, right, the migrante population, right, our undocumented population, our DACA folks, those are, because many of us are, right, to protect as well and to stand with those who are differently abled, to stand with the LGBTQ community, to stand with women, right, as part of bringing us all in together. So I urge you to make history tonight. And pass this resolution, and so that everyone knows, today we're at the La Puente City Hall. Thursday night we will be at the Hacienda La Puente Unified School District asking for the same thing. So it would be great to go there Thursday to say the city of La Puente has adopted this broad, inclusive resolution and represents all our communities. Thank you very much.
name is Ozaeta. I'm a DACA holder, and I work at Marina del Rey Hospital. I'm asking you to please support Santuario for immigrants. It's not easy to live with fear. I'm scared to go to work and not be able to go back home with my family. We want to feel that we are part of this community. I also want you to know that we are not here to live from the government. We are hardworking people. We pay taxes. I also want you guys to know that we are really good people. We are part of many organizations. And we help without even looking on the skin color, language, age, or race. I have a small organization. I feed homeless once a month from my pocket. I also participate in the Sheriff Projects. It's a hiking route where we get money for veteranos. I also volunteer for Border Angels. I want you guys to know that I believe in change, and I want to be part of the change. I want all of you guys to don't forget that we are all human beings. God bless you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. I am so excited to be here before you. I have good news about you. And we are here because you represent us, all of you here. You are our leaders. The decision of passing the resolution to make City of La Puente a sanctuary city tonight is one of the most important resolutions that you will be taking in many, many months. It is not only to support those that don't have proper documentation, but it's also sending a strong message to President-elect that the City of La Puente is about community, that we are about humanity, that we are beyond documentation. When we live in fear, we are unable to create, to think, or to produce. We must vote yes to this resolution in favor of our working people for them to continue producing and activating this economy. The mother that takes the child to the park is activating the economy when she buys the soccer shoes. The mother that cooks the tamales is activating the community of this place. Everybody that is around here, it is looking up to you for your leadership and for your support to them. Quiero decirles a todos que el vivir en el miedo no nos deja producir, no nos permite pensar, no nos permite crear. Que tenemos que vivir en una ciudad que esta noche pase una resolución declarando esta ciudad como una ciudad santuario, en donde podamos vivir libres del miedo y que podamos producir para mantenernos como una comunidad activa. Pero también que es importante mandar un mensaje al presidente electo de que nosotros somos y vamos más allá de simplemente la documentación, de que nosotros somos gente de comunidad y que somos gente de humanidad, que todos estamos aquí y que la mamá que lleva a su hijo al parque a jugar fútbol está activando la economía cuando compra esos zapatos deportivos y que la mamá que hace tamales está activando la economía porque está comprando la masa. Realmente es una decisión importante. También I just want to acknowledge your question. I know that your question is very valid when you say, what happened with the federal money if we become a sanctuary city? And actually I have thought about that also. What is going to happen with that money? But if we allow President Trump to force us to do something that we as a community don't want to, he can do anything that he wants.
Ms.
But
right here. Sorry. That's okay. That is fine. You can address the question, but please address the council.
I'm so
Thank
sorry.
you.
Thank you. It is telling President Trump that he can say or do anything when you have money and power. In this moment, this is not about money. This is about humanity, and this is the life and the future of many. In only few generations, we can switch a mother that has no education and that sells tamales for a living to become, or for that family to have a child that can go to school and have a master's degree and be the teacher of all our kids. Thank you.
Martinez.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity. I stand up here. My name is Angeles Martinez. I am a counselor at La Puente High School. First off, I'm a product of the district. I am a member of the community. I went to Sunset Elementary. I went then to Sparks Middle School. I'm a graduate of La Puente High School. I stand up here in support of a sanctuary city, for the city of La Puente to become a sanctuary city. Like I said, I'm also a parent of this community. I'm proud to stand here as a woman, as an immigrant woman, who holds a bachelor's, a master's, and many certificates. There's many of my students who are in fear, not just obviously in the city, you know, it's just overall in the state. But I'm here for them. I'm here to speak to them. I'm here to speak on behalf of them and their families. I urge you to declare the city of La Puente a sanctuary city. Our students and our families need peace of mind, regardless of where they come from, regardless of race, regardless of sex, regardless if they are part of our LGBT community. I support my students, their families, and I work with these families and my students. La Puente High School right now has 99 undocumented students. That's not to mention the rest of the district. That's not to mention the families who will also, if we don't show support for this, who will also be affected by our president-elect. So I hope that you follow the other cities. I hope that you sanction our city, and let's create a safe zone for our communities and our future. And like Mr. Ochoa said, I am so for his words that we need to build, and we are a puente, you know, and we're not building paredes. Thank you.
I saw our teacher, Mr. Miranda, signaling to his students. We usually dismiss them about 8 o'clock, and I know they've got homework, and I know they've got school in the morning. Students, thank you for being here. Maybe we can come again next time.
Gabriel.
Hello, my name is Gabriel and good evening to council members and everyone that's here. It makes me so proud to see everyone here speaking up, standing up, and saying what they're here to fight for. You know, President-elect Trump has for 18 months or more said that he was going to build a wall. And guess what? He is building that wall, but not the wall that he thinks. He's building a wall of us. We are the wall that's going to stop him. And you need to be a part of that. All of you need to be a part of that. And by the way, Mr. Argudo, my brother Enrique Vega from Urban Associates sends his regards. The fear is real. The fear is so real that tomorrow morning, the Los Angeles Commission, let me get the name right. The Los Angeles Commission on Hate Crimes, the Los Angeles Commission of Human Relations is holding a special meeting tomorrow of the Network Against Hate Crimes to prepare for Inauguration Day and for everything that's coming after Inauguration Day.
Wow.
The Board of Supervisors has already passed the motion to declare Los Angeles County a sanctuary county. The state has already passed a resolution to to declare the state a sanctuary state. People follow their leaders. And a perfect example of that is that as soon as Mr. Trump positioned himself for the nomination, people followed him. And people followed him to the extent that they are willing to act on their lowest instincts. So what I want to ask you is, who do you want your kids to follow? Do you want that guy? Do you want them to follow him and his example? Or do you want them to follow your example? That's the choice that you have tonight. What example are we going to give our kids? What example are we going to give our neighbors and our friends? If adults can take Mr. Trump's words and behavior as license to hate and as license to let their worst instincts come out, and as we've seen, hate crimes have increased. Not just since the election, but well before that. During the primary season, hate crimes increased. After the election, hate crimes increased. I can't even imagine what's going to happen after Inauguration Day. So like I said, tomorrow, Supervisor Hilda Solis will be speaking at the Los Angeles Commission for Human Rights to prepare for Inauguration Day. How sad is that? That we need to have a meeting to prepare for all the hate and all the fear-mongering that's coming our way. This is not a game. This is not a joke. The day is now where you have to make that decision. All right. And I know that many cities are worried about how much funding they're going to lose. But I want to ask you something. How much is your conscience worth? What's it going to take for you to sleep at night? Okay? And I know that you're all up here doing great work. You do great work and you represent your city. I don't live in your city. I don't have kids. So why do I care? Because when we all stand together, we're all stronger together. Trump is just one man. His cabinet, handful of guys. They don't rule this country, we do. And it's up to you to show leadership. There are plenty of leaders to follow. Who should we follow? Him or you?
Mrs. Rivera.
Muy buenas noches, mi nombre es Rivera Mendoza y vengo en representación del Chicano Latino Immigrant Democratic Club of Los Angeles County.
Good evening, my name is Jesus Rivera, and I am here on behalf of the Chicano Latino Immigrant Club of Los Angeles.
Honorables miembros del Consejo, yo vivo en la ciudad de Los Ángeles y el día de hoy vengo a solicitarles de una manera muy atenta y a unirme con los ciudadanos y residentes de la ciudad de La Puente.
Honorable council members, I am here today, even though I don't live in La Puente, I live in Los Angeles, but I'm here supporting the residents and community of La Puente.
A solicitarles a ustedes para que el día de hoy esta ciudad, esta gran ciudad y hermosa ciudad, sea declarada Ciudad Santuario para los inmigrantes.
And I'm here to support the request that you pass the resolution tonight to name the city of La Puente, this great city of La Puente, sanctuary city for immigrants.
Estamos a 10 días de que entre el nuevo presidente Donald Trump y nuestra comunidad tiene miedo por las declaraciones que él ha hecho. Los inmigrantes no le hacemos daño a este país, amamos a este país.
We're 10 days away from the inauguration date for Donald Trump, and we're already in fear of what's going to happen. we immigrants, we do not harm this country. We love this country. We produce for this country.
Y pues sí, estamos desconcertados porque en estos últimos 8 años lamentablemente se han deportado a sus países, en el caso específico de México, a 3 millones de inmigrantes, donde se incluye 1 millón de niños americanos.
This is very puzzling, and I am very thrilled to be here. It's alarming to see that in this past president, more than 3 million people have been deported, and among those deported, there were more than 1 million children who are U.S. citizens also being deported, along with the parents.
Este es un gran país que lo han forjado grandes hombres y mujeres como ustedes, y que tenemos la esperanza en ustedes de que nos apoyen como comunidad inmigrante.
This country was built by great people, great men and women like you, people before me tonight, and I have confidence that tonight you will pass the resolution.
Ustedes actualmente saben que nuestro querido México, nuestra nación, está pasando por una situación de mucha violencia y una situación muy deplorable por tanta corrupción que tenemos en México.
You probably know that my country, Mexico, is going through a very hard time with so much corruption and crime, and it's very difficult to live there.
Y esta nación, como vecina de México, siempre nos ha apoyado. De hecho, Estados Unidos siempre ha sido una nación forjada por grandes presidentes de este país para inmigrantes, y es un país santuario para todo el mundo.
The United States has always supported us and has helped us to get ahead in life. And I know this has been a great country. We have had great presidents who supported us as well, and this has been a great sanctuary city, a great sanctuary country for many immigrants.
Amamos y respetamos los Estados Unidos, honorables miembros de la Puente. Ojalá que ustedes pasen a la historia como unos excelentes concejales, que cuando vayan a su distrito, aquí a su ciudad, a pedirle el voto a la gente para que ustedes vuelvan a ser reelectos, tengamos la gran noticia de que hicieron lo posible porque esta ciudad fuera una ciudad santuario. Muchísimas gracias.
When you pass a resolution, and you'll be proud when you go about requesting re-election, the votes for re-election, by saying that you were part of history by approving the resolution of becoming a sanctuary city for the city of La Puente. Thank you very much.
Buenas noches a todos. Good evening. Mayor Valerie Munoz and the rest of the City Council. Thank you for having us here tonight. Muchas gracias por toda la participación de nuestra comunidad y todos los líderes y profesores y maestros que han hecho unas presentaciones extraordinarias. Thank you for everybody. I am going to translate myself, both English and Spanish, if you don't mind again. I do want to emphasize that whether we need to come back and be sure that this kind of meetings are translated through the whole process. It's very important for our community to be able to understand exactly what happens in this City Hall. Quiero enfatizar que no solamente hoy voy a traducir para mí misma, pero recordarles aquí a los concejales y a la alcaldesa que es muy importante que todas nuestras reuniones, no solamente la de hoy, sea traducida al español, ya que nosotros representamos el 97% de esta comunidad. I do want to remind what Donald Trump mentioned, aside from all the insults that he has done to our community, especially the Mexican community, that he is reminding us he's planning to get rid of over 3 million undocumented people. And he says they're criminals. I think our community are all in support of getting rid of any criminals, whether they're Mexican, whether they're Latin America, or any other country. We are very much in support of that. But what we were able to see during the Obama that it was not a fact. Out of all those almost 3 million people, there was a lot of people who were unjustly removed from this country. So, en otras palabras, queremos estar seguros de que ahorita el presidente Obama ha dicho que va a deshacerse de más de 3 millones de personas indocumentadas. Nosotros estamos de acuerdo de que él despida a personas criminales. Creo que nadie quiere tener personas criminales en su comunidad. Lo que no estamos de acuerdo es que deshaga familias, deshaga personas como ustedes vieron hoy esta noche. Y queremos estar seguros que los 750,000 DACA, estudiantes de DACA, ahora que tienen su identificación, el nuevo presidente no pueda usar esa información para sacarlos. So therefore, we want to be sure that now that our president is able to have over 750 DACA students, all their information, we know that this data is there, and we want to be sure by making a sanctuary that this does not happen here in La Puente. We named La Puente Coalition Sanctuary because there was a question who we were. Our organizations who we represent right here, if they were valid or not. Whether our organizations are valid or not, this is the need of the community. And we are ready to prove that some of our organizations are valid. We have been here, Mr. Maldonado, and many of the people are here that have been here since 1992, organizing our community. During the last election process where I was elected, we organized almost 1,015 new voters. And this is only since March of this year. So do we have a valid reason to be here? Of course we do. We are residents. We are organizations who've been here for so many years. Se cuestionó que si la coalición o la organización que presentó la resolución era válida, éramos válidas o no. Aquí se tiene que aclarar que las organizaciones No Te Dejes, por el Instituto No Te Dejes, existe desde 1998. La Academia de Líderes Latinos en Acción, algunos de ustedes, algunos de los congresistas y senadores estuvieron en nuestras grabaciones, tiene desde el 2000. Estamos bajo la sombrilla de otras organizaciones y muchas de las instituciones que se han unido a la coalición son verídicas como las de nosotros. So after I clarify that, that's why we decided to call ourselves La Puente Coalition for Sanctuary. Por lo tanto, nos decidimos llamarnos la coalición Puente Santuario. ¿Puente por qué? Porque lo dijo la compañera anteriormente. Porque nosotros vamos a ser el puente que va a asegurar que con una ciudad santuario debemos de darle los derechos civiles de todo migrante que tiene que tener. There is two resolutions here. The one that was mentioned that I believe is A, or number 1, and then number 2 that is B. Number A was presented by Council Member David Argudo, and number B is presented by the community. At this point, I would like to ask, because we already did. Personally, we met with David Argudo. Personally, we met with John Solis, and we also called Holloway, Council Member Holloway. So at all those times, both of the 3 council members were very supportive of our coalition. So at this time, I would like to request Councilmember David Argudo to withdraw his first resolution. So the only resolution that is presented to the board tonight is the community resolution. Por lo tanto, le pido al concejal que remueva su resolución y que solamente nos quedemos con la resolución de la comunidad. I thank you very much for your support, and I hope you can see the urgency. I put a package for you in red so you can understand the urgency we need this vote that happens tonight. Muchas gracias.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and community members. My name is Anthony Duarte. I'm a school board member.
Full support of your efforts to protect the immigrant residents of La Puente. Los Angeles County is home to about 3.5 million immigrants. That is more than any other county in the country. And now, perhaps more than ever, it is important that local governments do everything within their power to make these vulnerable members of our county feel safe. That is why I have led Los Angeles County through unprecedented actions to protect our immigrant communities, and it is for the benefit of all of our residents. As you may know, today, the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors passed a motion I co-authored with Supervisor Sheila Kuehl to establish a County Office of Immigrant Affairs. This office will serve as a one-stop shop where our county's immigrants can receive streamlined, coordinated access to appropriate services in their preferred language. Next steps were also outlined to further ensure that all our county departments and public institutions will serve and protect every resident and take steps to better prepare for changes in immigration policy that may affect immigrant children and families. As you may know, last month, following the results of the 2016 presidential elections, we began to lay the groundwork for a county-wide strategy to provide protection to our immigrant communities. The DACA Task Force has already been converted to the County Immigrant Protection and Advancement Task Force, which will include representatives from philanthropy, labor, academia, advocacy, and immigrant rights organizations, and will be tasked with providing related recommendations as the Office of Immigrant Affairs gets underway. Again, I have received hundreds of letters of support from the community, members of congressional delegation, state, city, and school elected officials throughout the region, including your fabulous mayor. And from businesses, labor, community, and faith-based organizations in support of my legislative efforts to protect our immigrant population. Their voices must be heard, and the needs of our immigrant communities must be met. So I would like to thank you, Mayor Valerie Munoz, and the City Council for your continued commitment, leadership, and support. I am confident that the immigrant residents of La Puente are in good hands. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Karen Osorio, and I am undocumented, and I am an undocumented student. In 1998, my parents decided to migrate to the U.S., not as an option, but rather as a necessity to survive, right? Taking my brother and I along. We were brought here to La Puente, so this has been my hometown for 18 years. I've been in the U.S. for 18 years, and ever since then, I graduated. I graduated from Nogales High School in the city of La Puente, taking honors courses, AP, IB, and that's when I found out that I was undocumented, right? My senior year, I applied to all the to many universities. I got accepted to all the universities I applied to, but this was before the DREAM Act. So because there was no financial assistance for undocumented students, I had to take a year off, began working with my father as a day laborer. I would go help him mow lawns, sell at the swamp meet. We were just everywhere, like all immigrant parents. My father is super hardworking. He is my hero, and I owe a lot to him. After a year, I decided to go back to school, so I am attending Mount San Antonio College in the city of Nueva. I've been there for 5 years, and I know community college, you're just in and out, and it's, you're right, it's just supposed to be 2 years, you're in and out. I've been there for 5 years because I've been a full-time student, sometimes working 2 jobs, 60 hours a week to help my parents, right? I'm the oldest of 4. I have an undocumented schizophrenic brother. Fortunately, I was able to apply for DACA, but the threat of losing DACA now with President-elect Trump has reminded me that we're still undocumented, right? And I am afraid, and it's not just for myself, right, but for my parents, for my schizophrenic, undocumented brother, right? So for my community, for all the community, so So that's why I decided to mobilize and just organize with some of my peers. And one thing I believe, we're not the dreamers. They call us dreamers, but our parents are the original dreamers. Nuestros padres son los soñadores originales, ¿verdad? Porque ellos tuvieron el sueño. They had the dream to come to this country, to leave everything behind. My parents have not been able to see their parents in over 18 years, which is super heartbreaking. So thank you to our parents, to our original dreamers, a nuestros padres, que son los soñadores originales. And the fight is not over. This is only the beginning. We will continue to mobilize and organize and do whatever it takes. And I urge you, council members, to support this resolution. Si se puede, y aquí estamos, y no nos vamos, y si nos echan, nos regresamos.
Good evening. I'm a resident of Bassett, which is sometimes called unincorporated La Puente. And another hat I wear is I'm a trustee at Mount San Antonio College. One of the questions that arose was, if La Puente passes this resolution, what's going to happen to the unincorporated area? So tonight I'm happy to approve that Bassett Unified School District, which is largely unincorporated, includes about 20% of the city of La Puente, very early on, a couple of weeks ago, passed a resolution deeming themselves a sanctuary district. And Mount San Antonio College, tomorrow we will consider our resolution. I've seen the fear, the repression that our undocumented neighbors have suffered. My neighbors across the street next door, I've heard the neighbors that are now citizens tell the terror stories about when they lost their shoes crossing the borders and had to walk hundreds of miles barefooted. The little girl across the street from me, when she was in 5th grade, she had to tell her mother goodbye for a year and a half because her mother was forced to go back to Mexico to gain legal status. The anxiety of not being able to work legally, not being able to drive legally. So tonight I'm here, especially to protect our DACA students, to request that the City of La Puente, the City Council, I wanted to respectfully request that you approve the Sanctuary City resolution. Thank you.
And I'm just going to pause for just a brief moment. We have Cheryl here who's having a little technical difficulties with the computer, so we got to make sure that we're on track here. Great, so next we're on to A, minutes of the previous City Council and successor agency meeting.
Motion to approve, Madam Mayor.
I have a motion by Councilmember Argudo.
Second.
I have a second by Councilmember Solis. Please vote. Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Lewis?
Aye.
Councilmember Argudo?
Aye.
Councilmember Solis?
Aye.
Passes 4-0.
Okay, next is the public hearing before the City Council. There is none. C, unfinished business of the City Council. We have none. D, we have City Council and successor agency consent calendar. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve, Madam Mayor. Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Argudo and a second by Councilmember Solis. Please vote.
Mayor Munoz?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Lewis?
Aye.
Councilmember Argudo?
Aye.
Councilmember Solis?
Aye.
Passes 4-0.
Great. Next, we have E, new business to be considered by the City Council, which I think this is what everyone's waiting for, right? We have E1, discussion and direction regarding the declaration of the City of La Puente as a sanctuary city. We have two resolutions currently at this time that is presented. Councilmember Argudo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, I want to welcome everybody here. Thank you for being here. I want to give a little background in regards to this resolution. I have the privilege and honor of serving you guys as an elected official. One of my roles is that I collaborate with other cities, and I want to give just a quick shout out and representation to the city of Calif for the work that they've done in the past.
Go Calif!
And to a couple of my colleagues, Chris Garcia, former mayor there, and Christian Hernandez, also the vice mayor of the city of Calif. With that being said, this was a conversation that we were looking into of something that had been adopted in the past, and this is how this resolution came forward. Primeramente quiero darles gracias a todos por estar aquí. Es un placer de servirlos a todos ustedes y quería nomás darles un poquito de historia que cómo llegamos a esta resolución. La resolución era de la ciudad de Calif y lo que hemos hecho es que tomé la decisión de poner sobre esto con el concilio para que podamos pasar esta resolución para Ciudad Santuario. And this resolution was here in order to create a sanctuary city here in La Puente. However, since then, the conversation expanded when the different organizational groups here in the city of La Puente decided to reach out, and we sat in my office, my personal office, not here at City Hall, and we hashed out a new resolution. They had a version of theirs, and I had my version, and that night we spent about 3 hours and created a hybrid version of this resolution. So the people that were involved were here. I'm not going to take the time to recognize everybody, but we had about 15 people involved in this endeavor. Lo que quería decirles es que llegamos a esta resolución, la resolución B, cuando yo presenté la resolución A, y tuvimos el grupo de organizaciones de aquí de la ciudad de La Puente, que nos sentamos en mi oficina personal y por 3 horas nos quedamos ahí aproximadamente tratando de cambiar y hacer una más comprensiva para hacer esta resolución inclusiva a todos los demás gente que pueden ser afectados por esto. You know, one thing that we shouldn't lose sight of is that you know, we have a president-elect. We need to stand behind him, but he also needs to hear our voice. We need to work together. We can't create wedges and separations like that. He is our president, so we must also take the time to acknowledge him and respect that position. But at the same time, our voices need to be heard. Lo que estoy diciendo es que ya tenemos un nuevo presidente. El presidente es una posición de poder, de honor, y tenemos que honorar esa posición. Tenemos que respetar a nuestro presidente, pero al mismo tiempo tenemos que hablar fuertemente sobre las cosas que la comunidad, la gente de esta nación quiere. Y este es un ejemplo de lo que está pasando ahorita en esta nación. No, let's not lose sight of what happened in the previous administration. Millions of people got deported. Okay, so this is not Donald Trump's issue. This is an issue of the American people. This is an issue that we have to stand up and talk about, because it wasn't just Donald Trump coming out and saying it. It was, I think what's more dangerous is the people that don't talk about it and take action. And in broad daylight, we, the people, are blinded. So I really think that there's a lot more to this than what we're talking about today. But however, I've heard everybody's voices, and I understand where the issues and the perspectives, and I support those perspectives. Yo creo que tenemos que estar atentamente involucrados en el movimiento que esté pasando aquí, en nuestro país. Se han deportado millones de personas aquí en la administración anterior, y ahora tenemos otra administración que está entrando. Tenemos que trabajar con ellos a ver cómo podemos reformar esto. Y me da un gran placer que todos estén aquí apoyando esta meta, especialmente para los niños, especially for the students, the kids that come to this country. They come to this country at their infancy, at the age of 1, and at 22, they can potentially be deported. So where are they going to be deported to? This is their home. This is where they were born. So or they were raised, not necessarily born, but this is a displacement that happens time and time again that some people do not recognize. No voy a traducir todo lo que digo verbalmente exactamente como lo digo, pero una de las cosas es que tenemos que reconocer que tenemos a los niños, a los estudiantes son los que tenemos que proteger. A ellos son los que son más afectados, los que vienen de bebés y ya salen a la edad de 22 años, como el ejemplo que tuvimos aquí de la muchacha que atiende, por ejemplo, Mount Sac. Ellos, la mayoría de sus vidas han vivido aquí, y a dónde van a regresar, porque nacieron en otra parte, pero la mayoría de las vidas han vivido aquí. La razón que estoy aquí el día de hoy y estoy presentando esta resolución es para hacer la ciudad de La Puente una ciudad santuario. Y después de haber hablado con la gente de la comunidad, también para hacerla más inclusive. En este momento la razón que hay las dos resoluciones es porque primeramente fue un proceso administrativo. Esa fue presentada primero y después la otra también fue presentada. The reason that we have two resolutions here is because initially it was the basic resolution for a sanctuary city, but in discussions with the community and creating a more inclusive one, we developed a hybrid of the resolution B. However, at this time, just want to let everybody know that I'm in favor of supporting resolution B. You guys have worked hard, han trabajado duros. Espero que mis colegas también el día de hoy se pongan atrás de ustedes, no de mí, pero de ustedes de la comunidad. I hope that my colleagues also support and endorse this resolution B, and today we could have the ability to vote this in. And if there is some administrative corrections, then I'm sure that our city attorney would be able to clean it up nicely. So I ask that my colleagues also support this, not that it's not for my sake, but for the sake of the community. Yo creo que ya la mayoría de las voces y todos los temas se han tocado, y ya que se han tocado con eso, voy a ser breve y no voy a tomar más tiempo de ustedes. I think that all the issues have been touched on. I think the message is clear. I think that in that case, I will not go into my notes and my reasons behind this, but I just ask the mayor that she open the floor for a motion after my colleagues have the opportunity to chime in and speak on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Aguirre. Do we have any other questions from council at this time? I would like to make a statement in regards to the agenda item here in front of us. The city of La Puente, which is rich tapestries of culture, has been, and I believe will be open to the people of all backgrounds. As the city of La Puente does, so do other cities throughout California and this nation. I am proud to represent the community that I have grew up in, and I am thankful for living in this great state of California, that not only has been the leader of immigration rights, but also in general defense of people from all backgrounds and walks of life. Support of people of color, religious minorities, the LGBT community, women, and individuals with disabilities. Whether the issue is healthcare, education, or public safety, we have led the way on ensuring that every member of our communities is protected. Nearly 10% of our state's workforce is undocumented. They are our friends, family members, neighbors, and an integral part of our community. Compassionate community should always trump bigotry. We have two motions up this evening. We have, actually not two motions, two resolutions that are up for consideration. I will take each resolution individually and put it up for discussion and for a vote, and then we'll move forward to see what we compile as a council up here. Our first resolution is resolution number 175319, a resolution of the City Council of the City of La Puente, California, declaring the City of La Puente a sanctuary city for immigrants. Do I have a motion up here for approval? I will go ahead and motion for approval. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion, Mayor.
So we have a motion of approval for resolution number 175319. Please vote.
Madam Mayor, are we going to discuss it?
That would be resolution number 1, which is the general resolution that was brought up. I understand that it's been withdrawn, but it is on our consent calendar and it was brought up in front of us, so we do have to discuss this. And I will bring, like I had mentioned, right now we are bringing the resolution up individually for a vote. Do we have any questions regarding this resolution or any discussion from council? I don't.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Sorry, I think it's getting a little past my son's bedtime here, so yes, I'd like to weigh in on the procedural matter here as how we're going to go about this, and why is that both resolutions have to be presented at this point in time. Why, if it's been already inclusive of the second resolution that's attached, item B, why do we have to go through this procedural? My thought behind this is that what's going to happen is that if the generic one that is being withdrawn is supported by 2 council members, the other 2 might be supported by the other one, and we get nowhere. So with that being said, I'll defer to our legal team here.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the council. You have before you 2 resolutions. Your withdrawal of that resolution doesn't take it off the agenda per se. It still exists on the agenda for discussion. And should there be a motion to consider it, then there's a motion and it looks to the council for its disposition. Just as resolution B is before the council, a motion may be made as to resolution B after the dispensing of the current motion, and then the council can again dispose of that resolution according to its vote. So.
Okay, so currently we do have a resolution to support the first resolution that was brought forward, correct?
A motion
to approve
for approval of resolution A.
Correct. So I can call for a vote, correct?
Unless there's any further discussion.
Is there any further discussion regarding this resolution?
Madam Mayor,
Councilman Barbudo.
one last thing. What is the terminology that you would make a motion? That trumps over the motion that's currently on the floor?
You would make a motion, a substitute motion.
Substitute motion, that's what I was looking for. I'd make a substitute motion, Madam Mayor, to bring in attachment B as a resolution for approval first,
Okay, so I have a substitute motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
So I have a second by Councilmember Solis to bring the second resolution up as a substitute.
With that motion, as you had said during your remarks, I gather you would give the ability to make certain not editorial corrections, but corrections that would bring that resolution in compliance with the protocols that the council has when it adopts resolutions. Is that correct?
Absolutely. There would
Thank
be an
you for that
administrative
clarification.
cleaning and nothing of substance would be removed. Correct?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
That's the within the purview of the city council.
Thank you.
Okay, so the motion I have on the floor right now is the substitute motion by Councilmember Argudo to support resolution number 2. And I have a second by Councilmember Solis. Correct? Okay, please vote.
Mayor Munoz?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Lewis?
No.
Councilmember Argudo?
Aye.
Councilmember Solis?
Aye.
Motion fails.
Before we move on in regards to this resolution here, I applaud the efforts within our community, the involvement of our groups that are here tonight, to protect the immigrants population who come here seeking a better life for themselves and their families. I deeply support the rights of everyone in our vibrant community. However, I am concerned about the budgetary natures of section 456 of this resolution. This section of the resolution has the potential to tie the city's hands without being able to address them through the proper procedures. I believe that our fiscal responsibility to the city requires us to utilize these channels prior to budgetary allocations. I am prepared to stand and support this resolution tonight with modifications to this section. We must keep in mind our budgetary process and must respect the proper forms of governments to ensure protection of all of our constituents. So before we close this this line item, I would like to bring another. Go ahead, Jamie. I would like to bring another motion to approve resolution number 2, which was brought forth by our community as well as Councilmember Argudo, with some modifications to the resolution. Modification 1 would be the title of the resolution, which would be titled after the first resolution itself. The where ease, the recitals, where ease, all of the recitals of where ease, I would accept the resolution number 2. I believe that everything there is accurate and I would support that. Under the findings, therefore, on resolution number 1, I would like to support the first resolution, which will exclude, which is comparable to the second resolution minus section 4, 5, and 6, which does cause, which may hinder some budgetary constraints in our community, that we would not be able to allocate those funds because it goes through a budgetary process. That would be my motion tonight. My motion would be to support with those changes.
Madam Mayor, just for clarification.
Yes.
So basically adopting the resolution that is set forth by the community members and just changing the title to be more pursuant to what the legal counsel has said, and then at the same time removing the sections that talk about additional training for city staff and employees that cause a fiscal impact in our community at this point in time that we haven't been able to allocate, and then to seek and then secure funds to support immigrants. I think that Mayor Munoz brings a valid point, but I think section 4 and 5 can be eliminated because there are organizations that are already out there that are pursuing things of that nature. For example,
Supervisor Solis has programs.
Yes, Supervisor Solis has programs in LA Voice, which is for January 12th at 6 p.m. at St. Joseph's Baptist Church for DACA, citizenship, immigration status. So this is to inform the people. So I think that that recommendation, that suggestion is a valid point. That I'm in favor of amending if we just eliminate, but the essence of the resolution still stays intact. So I appreciate that from the mayor. And then number 6, I believe she also mentioned, we shall create a task force responsible for developing, recommending strategies and civil rights for La Puente. That task force could be, an ad hoc committee, or it could be a participation where with limited time, and we could probably do that at a later date.
Correct.
That's okay.
Yes, so my motion would be to support the resolution this evening. Like Councilmember Argudo has stated, I would like to make sure I reiterate and inform what my requests are. Title resolution from the first resolution. Continue and keep the body of the second resolution that I support, and the findings therefore of the first resolution. That would be my motion to approve.
Second.
Real quick for clarification on the title, Resolution 8, it said that La Puente, a sanctuary city for immigrants. Obviously, Resolution B is much more expansive. So with council's direction, if city manager and I can just make sure that that title is inclusive of the recitals that are set forth in Resolution B.
Correct, I understand. So the title will be a resolution of the City Council of the City of La Puente, California, declaring the City of La Puente a sanctuary city for immigrants, people of color. I also want to make a correction and put religious minorities, which is a more broad understanding of the individuals we need to represent, LGBTQ community, and people with disabilities. In addition to those changes on item the whereas on the resolution B, I would also like to make that clarification and remove Muslims to religious minorities. That would be my recommendation, and I would like to put the motion up.
That's second.
Madam Mayor?
Councilmember Solis?
Yes, I think it's a good idea. I like the changes you made to it, thinking about the budgetary restraints the city has. I commend you on moving forward and trying to help the city out. So, and with the motion, David, I support you guys.
Thank you, Councilman.
Mayor Munoz, I have a question for Jamie.
Yes.
Jamie, she just modified her original motion, so am I still the seconder? I remain the seconder on the motion. Thank you.
Cheryl, you have that. You're good with that. Got it. Okay. I think we have actually 2 seconds. Your second and Councilmember Argudo's second. We'll have that reflected. There were 2 seconds made at the same time in the record. We can actually have 3 seconds. Oh. Actually, I'm not supposed to be eating seconds, so.
Yeah, I support the recommended changes, but I was the original seconder, so I just wanted to make sure that was clear.
Okay, so we have a motion and we already have a few seconds. So let's go ahead and 2 seconds. Please vote.
The motion by Mayor Munoz with a second by Mayor Pro Tem Lewis. And Councilmember Argudo.
With recommended changes.
Yes.
The recommended changes, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Mayor Munoz?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Lewis?
Aye.
Councilmember Argudo?
Aye.
Councilmember Solis?
Aye.
Passes.
We still need to conduct business here. Okay, next. Oh, I lost my places. Oh, okay. Ad hoc committee reports. Do we have any reports at this time?
I just have an update for the park problems. Ad hoc committee, we have an upcoming meeting next week, and we will start discussions regarding issues about that program. Thank you.
In addition to that, the Military Banner Recognition Program Ad hoc Committee has an upcoming meeting next week as well. In addition to that, we have AB 1234 reports.
Perdón.
¡Sí se pudo!
¡Sí se pudo! ¡Sí se pudo! ¡Sí se pudo! ¡Sí se pudo! ¡Sí se pudo! ¡Sí se pudo! ¡Sí se pudo! ¡Sí se pudo! ¡Sí se pudo! Jesús.
The mayor, put the mayor in there.
Toda la ciudad de California siguen. ¡Sí se pudo! ¡Sí se pudo! ¡Sí se pudo! ¡Sí se pudo! ¡Sí se pudo!
Hello.
¡Sí se pudo!